Hello, friends. Welcome to Magic with Melly. Let's just get started on a few things. Happy New Year. It's Capricorn season as well, so that's so exciting for our Capricorns. And as usual, we're here for Melly Monday. I have two tarot decks here. I have the Disney Villains deck and a rainbow tarot deck, as well as all the oracle cards for today's reading. And I have two cards from the Giant Tarot I definitely want to start off with. As usual, we have the Sun card, which came out first, and we have the Two of Cups, which comes out behind it. Definitely some attraction here. Something about your energy or your light is attracting somebody in, or attracting somebody that you kind of have your eye on, or like if you're hopeful about something being sparked up here, I definitely feel that is a warm energy, that you're pretty spot on or pretty close if you're picking up on vibes. Back of the deck energy, Eight of Wands, and behind it the Six of Swords. I just definitely feel like it's just coming out of your comfort zone and really going for it. What is there to lose if you'll have more regrets if you don't try something. You'll have regrets because you never know if you don't try. And so be mindful of that energy, I think, going into your situations. It's going to be different energies, different situations for everyone. Everyone may be dealing with a job situation, and they want to appear attractive to the career, like the employers that you are seeking employment from. Or with the Two of Cups, right? It was the Two of Cups card behind the Sun. Just any sort of connection between you and the whatever it is that is going on in your life that you're concerned about. You do want to attract in your situation, whether it's a job or your person, having good things going on, creating good situations. It's definitely what this reading is about, is just really making the most out of your own situation, out of your own light. But just going into more of it, seeing if this resonates for you guys. Welcome in. Let's just get started with our Rainbow Tarot and see straight off what we have going here. And we have a variation of uprights and reversals. So let's just do some live shuffling and go from there. See if I'm reading up on your energy or your situation right, and if your oracle cards work out for you, or apply it however you see it applying. Don't make up something that isn't yet validated for you. This whole card reading deal is supposed to be a validating situation, not something that's going to be working against you. So let's just go from there. What's going on with our collective here? How can we help them out? I have here a Six of Wands, but in reverse, a Queen of Cups, a Eight of Wands, and a Four of Pentacles in reverse. The back of the deck energy is Three of Swords. I don't like seeing that as the back of the deck energy. Three of Swords. Underlying, there's a lot of pain and hesitancy, I feel, because of how intense the energy is coming through really intensely, that's for sure. With the Six of Wands in reverse, and the Queen of Cups, especially next to the Queen of Cups. I feel like the Queen of Cups is my deep in emotions, sort of feminine, dramatic, a little bit like a little low key dramatic, but not overwhelmingly so. Just in the, I'm going to stand up for myself based off of how I feel and really figure that out. And that can be really, really intense. I think that's just how I'm reading the Queen of Cups in this reading, especially next to the Six of Wands in reverse. It feels like this is an adverse energy that you have, that when faced with something that's not kind of going your way, um, it's a little bit of a fit to be in, like a case that you start not only with yourself, but maybe in a little bit of ways, some of us in the collective take it out on our outside surroundings and don't really realize it or mean to. Um, like, why was I acting so bitter or so sensitive? And you realize that it's probably because you were just going through a difficult time and being more forward and less passive, or like speaking up more could maybe prevent some of these really deep underlying bad emotion, because I feel like with the Three of Swords is really underlying emotion and not doing, especially I'm noticing that the Hanged Man was behind it, mostly to do with the fact that there isn't much action taken behind these bad energies. They just kind of are like let to sit there and ruminate, maybe because, like, I don't know, if someone speaks foul to you and then you tell them not to do it again, and then they do it again, and you hold them to that, that's like holding them to that, like that boundary that you have. And if they're going to then make you feel bad about that boundary, that's just like that's like its own scenario, right? But like, then your action would, you already made your action of speaking up, right? But then the next thing would be, if they didn't take that well, the conversation well, or there wasn't any changes made, like, don't be passive because your first action didn't work out. Like, it's gonna be a stagnancy, like, do you back down? Like, what's your self-worth kind of bar at? Are you willing to take someone in who would, quote unquote, like in this example, like speak foully to you, like maybe they call you names and you don't like it or something? If you've spoken that boundary and they do it again, you are allowed to hold them accountable to that, and be like, that I did say this, like and that way the continuation, it doesn't bother you so much. Like, they really do see that you mean seriousness or you mean business if you catch it the first time, or like mention it every single time. Don't let it slide sometimes, or vice versa, because then it'll be like, they'll start testing you sometimes. Some people will really see, like, well, this is something I enjoy doing, so what is their limit? Like, how much of this am I allowed to do around them? And that is like the great thing about having multiple connections, is that not everyone is perfect. Not everyone's going to be the perfect amount of anything or everything for you. You will gauge that in your friends and family connections, and like put it all together into one whole piece of lovely living, like with your outside surroundings. Or like, so you hope you really create, or we attempt to create our best lives. And the closest you are to your loved ones, or like your passion, work, or like all this, your connection to the universe or source, the God, whatever you want to call it, like, just make sure that you're at the heart, moving forward and being less passive about the important things towards you. If you think that it's a whole respect thing about, not being talked down to, or being treated a certain way, XYZ, if you get triggered, big keyword triggered, if certain things trigger you and it's not all right, make sure that the person is taking you into consideration, but also remaining balanced and seeing how much is projection, how much of it is projection, how much of it is actually you and your response, and needing to change your own response and trigger, like being understanding, making sure that you are heard out and the other person is heard out. It goes in many layers, and it can go way back. Some people have really complicated understandings to kind of be filled in on, like histories such as like interesting family dynamics, or histories that maybe you haven't experienced or seen before, and explaining it is maybe hard to do with somebody who doesn't understand where you may be coming from. The examples could be anywhere from growing up with a disability, or growing up like someone was adopted, or growing up and one of their siblings passed away, or growing up and one of their parents, was gone, or they had to have a fill-in, like a step-in parent. Like, there's all sorts of different family dynamics that maybe you may resonate in some form or another with one story, but another story may not, like, be so easy to understand, or some other sensitivities may not be so easy to understand. So with this underlying stuff, I think it's more helpful than not to be more forward. With the just returning back to the Eight of Wands and the Queen of Cups, being more forward and outward spoken about where you're at with your triggers and what they mean to you, your history, and why it makes you react how you are right now. Because altogether, like, you are, don't, like, discredit, like, the things that trigger you or haunt you. Like, don't let it remove you from where you are currently. Like, you are the sun card came out for you guys, and so clearly there's something that's really attractive, or like being, like, drawing others towards you. If you're picking up on that vibe, don't discredit yourself just because there's some stuff that's still bothering you, and it's not so easy to, like, open up or say much about it, or whatever it is. Like, it definitely, with this underlying energy of the Three of Swords, just like something's bothering, something's bugging, and it's rather the response towards it is more passive than active forward. And if you just do something, whatever it is that your intuition is saying or wanting you to do, or pointing you in the direction of, it's probably something you've been kind of ignoring because it's easier to ignore than to deal with it. Sometimes it's, like, not fun to think about the situation, but if you avoid it or don't have conversations that you need, it gets prolonged. Sometimes prolonging the inevitable causes more damage than just dealing with the damage. But not everyone agrees with that. Some people think that delaying situations could eliminate or, like, minimize damage. It depends. Everyone's situation may differ. But with the passiveness, I think, can get you into a little bit of trouble. Especially if you do feel really deeply about it. It may be hard for another person to read in to your situation. If you're behaving passively, like, oh, it's like whatever, then they're going to then be like, okay, it's whatever. And then if you're deep inside just really boiled about it, it's going to be quite a surprise for them to later on realize that you felt more deeply about it than you first said or mentioned. So just make sure that the measurements, I guess, how much of it is on the inside versus the outside is like even. Because sometimes just people are typically, I don't want like people to start behaving out of character or anything, because there are people who are naturally more passive, people are naturally more active, like forward. So like whatever feels most comfortable for you, I just think that reassessing how much you are keeping within and how much you are showing maybe needs to be rebalanced so someone can have the chance to understand you more. And if you're really closed off over your heart, back to the Three of Swords card under there, if you have your guard up because of the past pain, it could be just really difficult to get to you, get to know you, get to understand you. And then if something's troubling you and it, and something's off balance and like all of it's a mess, so like try and make it and easy for someone to read you, at least where the inside is matched on the outside, because yeah, that it could be lots of confusion and without self-awareness or the realization that you are behaving like that, can really, you may not know that you're sabotaging your own self or your own situation or whatever. But after that little spiel with this little thing with the tarot, I'm going to go into the oracle cards. This one's the Enchanted Blossoms cards to start off with. So it says spirituality, cherry blossom. Let's see. Wisdom. Truth. Serenity. Let's go that way. Okay, to just get the ball moving on maybe advice or just even going more into reading your guys' situations, I think the importance moving forward is having faith both in, or just altogether in what you know. With the wisdom card, I think it has to do with what you know about things, like, and trusting what you know and trusting that you can only do the best with what you know. And so if you don't know, like my best example is if you didn't know that someone was going to be a bad person, of course, if you knew that someone was going to be a bad person or a bad event or a bad something was going to happen, you would have prevented it or done something different. But you didn't know better, or you wouldn't have, like, you seriously didn't know, just couldn't have known that the situation would play out the way it did. And so just realize the truths in that you're still here, you're still experiencing things, you experienced definitely one thing, and that doesn't mean that it will repeat. And really being on the edge of, rather than seeing your truth as some dark or particularly interesting mystery, like that just haunts you because you don't know about a lot of things, like a lot of truths in our lives is that we don't know what the heck we're doing. We don't know like why we exist and why, like, we don't know a lot of things, and that could haunt us. It really could. But rather turn your beliefs or your thoughts towards peacefulness and just enjoyment and being here and now and being like accepting, like, just make sure that you're not looking back and be like, I could have, should have, would have, like that you did what, like you actually attempted what you could, or you actually at the end of the day could say that you tried. I think that's the most important part, because if you didn't try, you'd be held with a lot more unknowns. Like, at least you would know more about a situation if you let yourself into an experience. But without having experience, you wouldn't know yes or no. You would be like stuck between the yes or no for so long, rather than experiencing it, being like, okay, I know for sure yes, or I know for sure no. And there is no real time or energy, or like, if you call any time or energy that you spend on something a waste, you're really only calling yourself a waste, because you should appreciate where you are, where you've been, who you are, all that stuff. And if you say something that you do was a waste, I just feel like it's such the obvious indirect way of saying that you think that you are a waste. um and I don't think that's nice to say about yourself. You're not a waste. The things that you do are not a waste. If you experienced something wasn't for you, great, you learned that about yourself, and that's not a waste. Now you know to, like, not put future time towards it. X amount of time that you spent for it to sum up to, nah, not for me, that's still okay. At least and only spent, I don't know, 2 months on something, rather than spending 20 years on it. There's a significant difference between, like, just, oh wow, I know that's not for me, so I know I can dodge it, and spend more time in the things I actually like. I think that's just a whole sort of side tangent for people who have kind of their interesting goes at living their truth, and that they feel bad or burdened by liking or disliking an experience, more so on the side of disliking experience, and, like, outwardly blaming or being upset, or not uh, being able to share in that the experience is what it is, and can, like, be a door closed. Like, just different layers of it. Like, I took a ping pong class, and I think that I will see more ping pong, like table tennis. I will see more ping pong in my future. Maybe not in my daily life, but that was a portal that was opened there. And that's one truth that I didn't know I needed, like, sometimes certain things shine a light on truths that you didn't know you needed as well, good or bad. Like, if sometimes we choose to not see something, for example, people who have partners who cheat, and I'm not bringing this up to put this in people's minds, but there are situations out there that I'm reading for that call for this. And it's like, if you have a cheating partner, okay, the truth may be in your heart and in your mind, or it's validated for you, but it's like choosing not to see it may be more convenient for kids. It may be more convenient for your heart, or for your financial situation. Like, the truth can be kind of difficult to deal with, but the message at the end of, like, end all, like, the highlight of it for me is choosing peace. That when you choose your peace, when you choose your spirituality, your connection to yourself, your connection to your knowledge, your connection to your own truth, to, like, what is real to you, what is actually real. It may not be what you expected, but if it's real, it's actually an experience. It teaches you something. It's supposed to put you somewhere. It's supposed to put you, and if it puts you anywhere, it puts you exactly in your place. Like, don't wonder if or why someone does something to you. I think, like, everything that you are involved in has some sort of equation or relation to you, or your karma, or what you've done, or like, So when things go badly, maybe to some degree, they did need a lesson or some redirection to see. And that's what's so hard with processing certain terrible accidents is you're like, why? Like, did they deserve it? Or um, the timing, all the stuff in the universe is perfect. And it's sometimes just difficult or not the easiest to manage with, but it is also truth. It is reality. It is um easier to just say it is what it is, but if you just come to peace with just existing, I think is the heart of it. And because right, I'm reading some really really dark energy. I think also I'm reading people who need more of their sun, like like a lot of people have been cold, like some cold bodies have just been maybe surviving throughout last year. And so just reminding those ones in my collective that it is all right to be yourself and shine that and speak up on your truths. Some of the scariest things to admit are things that are really triggering or very haunting for us, our past. Maybe you can't really move on until you form words around these things. I definitely resonate with that recently with my surgery on my hand, having to make sure I'm not keeping it all inside my head and that I'm talking about it, because if I just don't talk about it, then it's it's like a monster, like it's just this dark thing and going on in my mind, and the words sort of make it more of something that I can punch at. And so just make sure that with these situations that we're in, that regardless of what the truth is, good or bad, that the best thing that you can do is address it and bring it to be an outcome that is as peaceful as you can make it, at least, like, if you have to make it a contract, make it a contract, at work or with another person, and be like, literally in the show Broad City, Alana and her boyfriend, or because she's polyamorous, so I don't know if you would consider him her boyfriend, but they sit at a dinner table and they have contracts, and they're like, I'll watch, it's like the example is like, I'll watch like 3 rom-coms for one action movie or whichever, like however you want, but like if you have needs and wants that you need to be met, shine lights on those. See if you can come to a peaceful resolution. Not everyone's going to be willing to meet you halfway. Sometimes it's hard to know how to meet you halfway. So sometimes the contract or even a letter or like the communication there may bring impact. Do the work, okay? Someone's not going to know what you want, or a career isn't going to know what you want unless you say what you want. Learning experience, inner child healing, and harmony and resolution. I just feel here, reading the cards, the importance of falling into your learning experience, doing the work, because you are learning about yourself. So what you have learned, share that, do the work, and maybe literally put it all on paper and show it and be like, this is where I come from, this is what I need, these are my wants, these are my goals, this is what would help me continue being in good spirits, or feeling happy or zened out, or really happy in the connection, like really see how you guys can flow um together. I feel like this applies with a work situation or your family situation or love situation, because in a job application, when you write your cover letter, you speak up exactly about why you are interested in the job, how you found the job, and why, like you say all these things in the cover letter. It's really important. And that's like your chance to speak up on what you want, what you're about, and for them to see if they can offer you the same back. It's like not only are you not only are they seeing if they want to hire you, you are also seeing if you want to work for them. So it's kind of like a mutual exchange with interviews and with the job application process. You need to be upfront, because they don't know who you are until you present yourself forward. And so your first impression is, hey, what's up? This is me, like in this whole situation about like where you're coming from, and like the whole job application deal, like um just your experience before wanting to apply, why you want to apply, and what you're looking for, all that stuff. They address that. And that also applies with relationships. You should address what you're looking for, if that stuff can be mutually offered back and forth. In a job situation, it's much more contractual. It's kind of interesting that we're not as contractual in a relationship, but you do see it. It got depicted in, wasn't it the movie like 50 Shades of Grey, like contract stuff? I didn't actually fully read that series, but I did hear a lot about it. Altogether, though, just moving forward, it may teach you a lot about yourself, where you need to heal. Even just speaking with another about your youth, about someone else's youth. And it may trigger, someone else's triggers may trigger your trigger, and it could be a heart to heart kind of moment between you and someone that is important to you. It could bring you to a new harmony, right? If you guys had been arguing recently and you just can't really get down to something, this is for my my people in like deeper connections, but I'm reading all sorts of situations, deep connections, more shallow or new connections, whatever it may be. But with those that are having troubles in their, one really deep connection or few deep connections, is with the inner child healing, maybe sharing in your childhood or your youth, and like some of the harder things to talk about. It could bring in new union or new peace, or a new understanding of, wow, I didn't know that was your experience. And now I see why you may have a short temper, XYZ. Some people, not everyone has a short temper, but that, just if you have some sort of angsty youth, and it's because of some plot or some reason, it's like character building, but you can't come to this turn of events or turn of character or turn in understanding until you share that. So perhaps it may be there with the inner child healing of, yeah, I did grow up with X situation. It's not easy for me to talk about. It's not something that I realize applies here, but apparently it does. It could be like that. It could be you needing to have these arguments with your partner or with your situation at your career, for you to learn something new about yourself, maybe where your weak points are. Maybe highlighting that can sometimes be the easiest thing to do to get something resolved, and it's not easy because you feel personally attacked. It could be layers of things. I feel like everyone's dealing with some sort of complicated situation, especially with returning back to this Three of Swords underlying energy. Just like it is complicated because it's underneath the surface and not necessarily something that's crazy troubling, but it's still there. It's still a blockage. It still kind of affects us when it comes to our creativity or when it comes to being restful at night. Moving forward, though, I just want us to be doing better and resting better and creating and being in love. And so, speaking of love, okay, the card True Love. This love is once in a lifetime. The only thing that is real is love. Shift your focus back to love. Number 7 and 10. The card Love endures. Love does not give up or lose faith. Love is hopeful and withstands every situation. Be willing to express love. Express love to receive love. Miracles and blessings. Everything has its gift. Spend quality time together. Listen and talk to each other. Okay. So lots of things about love here. I think the big numbers for us to keep a lookout for is 7s and 10s and 6s for my friends who are interested in our synchronicities. I'm seeing lots of yellows right now and blues. But just continuing forward in the advice or just the situation going on with the oracles, the importance of love overall, bringing in love first with yourself, then next towards someone else, you know, not necessarily making anyone feel bad about who they are, what they are, how they respond, what they want to do with their life, how they think love should be expressed, how they receive and give love, how you receive and give love, all that stuff. It's difficult to learn lessons of love because when you are hurt, the natural response is to hurt back or hurt more or put a guard up. You know, if you put a guard up, you are making it harder to get to your heart or to love. If you hurt others, you are inflicting more of the pain that you are experiencing, you know, altogether not good energy. And so the importance of always trying to fall into love, even when the darkest or the like most worrisome events are occurring. Love is when is most needed during those times, you know. And so with endurance, love helps you endure. Love will help you when you are beaten down and someone expresses some sort of material or statement or action towards you that is loving, even if it is just, I hope you have a good day, or I hope you get through this, or if they send you a gift, whatever the situation is, they expressed something towards you and you're struggling, it helps you get through it. You know, it helps you put a smile on your face, and maybe that extends your situation of willing, you know, the will to live. Like some people are walking on such thin situations here with their own will, and so that might expand it a few days more, especially with those who are going like through the hardest times of their life and don't want to get through it. And you know, or like I say that and it is such a serious thing, like love, seeing love in your life, you being the first one to express it in your life, and then like sharing that with others and being grateful and adding to it when others show it to you and showing it to them back. All of that just grows it, it creates it, it preserves it, it brings the energy, it brings you through it. It brings you energy. It does all sorts of things. Love, this is crazy magical thing, love. And sharing it and practicing it. Practicing it is an interesting pack of words to start saying, right? Because practicing love is like, I love to sing, and I would do it even though I wasn't good at it. But then practicing it more grows my love. And getting good at it also grows my love. And that's what I mean about like circulating love in your life and growing it and preserving it and adding, you know, all that. Just make sure it's there. Miracles and blessings. Spend quality time together. I think this just really has to do with being really one-on-one with yourself and the things being called in for you when it comes to following your hobbies and your passions and like fueling that fire, fueling your gifts, fueling your blessings. I think if you really are where you want to be, you will be validated and rewarded like time and time and time and time again. Like there is no doubt that like in your heart and mind, you are where you want to be or where you're supposed to be. And getting there. You know, I think we are really, really hot to the touch when it comes to how close we are. If you were to play like the, if you ever like hid an object and you were supposed to guide someone about how close they are and you would go cold, but then when they got closer to it, they're like warm, getting warmer, getting hot. You know, I think it's just with the sun being depicted how close we are to our rewards and our blessings for just following our situation, following our intuition. I feel like that's just actually happening. You're going to be seeing that into fruition. It's going to feel really sweet with the sweetness card. Especially after enduring all the pain of the last year. Channel this shit into your creativity. Channel it into creativity and being more confident about just your experience, about your life story, just taking all that pain and making it a life story, making it like you learn something out of it, making it instead of seeing all your rejections and summing it up to thinking that you're a reject, coming out of it as magic, coming out of it as this didn't come together because magically I'm meant to be exactly where I'm at now. I magically was meant to be somewhere else than I thought I was wanting to be, which is where I am now. I'd be somewhere completely hella fucking different. I'd be somewhere completely different, like someone somewhere different if things happened a summation of a different way. You know, you have to kind of not reject your life up to now. You can accept or reject your future life. It just depends on what you are doing right now. And that's an interesting kind of vibe switch to put in, to just throw in there. So maybe if you want to pause and ponder on that, but I'll just continue on if you guys don't mind. Align your intentions with your actions. Get back to nature and reconnect to your hippie roots. This one says, show off your sparkle and shine from the inside. This one says, sex. Look for fairies. Clean your space. Burning a bowl ritual. Create art. Write a gratitude list. And massage. Okay. So some self-care vibes up in here for my lovelies just dealing with their hard times. Just go back into lighting things up, playing around, clearing things out. Okay, I have the burning bowl ritual, the clean your space, create art, create a gratitude list. Going back to nature. All right, that's definitely really some self-care stuff. Going outside, cleaning your space, creating stuff, being thankful for things, burning stuff. All of that is releasing and making new affirmations. So making sure that we do that. Okay, but I see lots of physicalness and sensual things occurring for us as well. Okay, massages and the card sex. I think it's really important to have a healthy, physical, sexual, emotional, mental, situation with your partner, and financial. Everything should be kind of balanced out. But if that is what you and your partner need, that is what you and your partner need. Just saying. And so let yourselves have at that. Maybe have rest from your arguing and turn all that stuff off and turn all the other stuff on. Whatever it is, look for magical things. Some people actually, some people believe in fairies, have resonance with fairies and a connection with fairies, and fairies are very, very particular about who they show themselves to. And so look for your situation with fairies if you resonate with that. There's all sorts of synchronicities or situations that apply here, but really make sure that your inside is being shown, that if you want something, you manifest it. Like massage, for example. If you'd like a massage, say so, and maybe your person will be more than happy to touch you. Like it could just be a matter of just saying it. Or and then even feeling better could be as easy as putting yourself to a task, like getting rid of things that trigger you to think about a certain thing or situation. I know that some people carry sentiments in items, and so if you have a situation where you have an item that repeatedly makes you think of an ex-friend or an ex lover or whatever, and you don't want to think about them anymore, maybe consider getting rid of those things so you don't think of them when you view the thing in your space. It's literally in your immediate outside surroundings, so no wonder why it's getting into you, like into your mind. And so maybe that's how you can get out of your mind in that way. If you don't want to think about anyone anyway, of a specific person anymore, maybe get rid of all the things that you associate with them with to start, and being grateful for the experience anyway, regardless of if it turned out in good or bad terms. If it's bad terms, rather than turning to violence, turn it into art. Whatever works for you guys, it's going to be a variation of things. Some people, your channel, your outlet will be through sex. Sometimes your channel will be through art. Sometimes your channel will be through cleaning obsessively, burning, writing stuff and burning it. It's going to be a variation, but just make sure that the inside is shining, even if it is destructive or sparkly or whatever. Okay, it could be destructive as long as you're expressing it, because I think if you don't express it, that's when you'll like pop in a bad way. You won't be like popping off like she's hitting it off. It'll be like she's popping off like, whoa, she's a little much. So make sure that even if you have to express it, and because I have this show Your Sparkle and Shine from the Inside, the whole shine from the inside is getting me to say, like, even if your inside feels like chaos and destruction, you got to let it out so it doesn't just keep storming on forever in there. Because you bottle it up, it has nowhere to go, and it will just keep fueling itself. But if you address it, you can kind of rework things or minimize the situation, accept or reject things, make a situation, like transmute it, whatever have you. Okay. We have receive healing. Number 1. Triggers, number 9. 27, listen to your body. Progress, 36. I have lots of 9s coming up for you guys here as well. Reawaken. Alternative. And strength, 46. All right, my lovelies. I think that all in all, I think earlier I was mentioning not to have your triggers be like where I don't want any of my collective to take their triggers, the ones that have bad reactions or bad situations come of it or bad emotions come of it, like have them fall into shame or blame or any sort of like situation where you feel like you need to change or be some other way. Like, change if you want to change. Change if you think it benefits you. Don't change because someone feels like you need to, or that you need to, do it for them. Like, if you are not for that person, don't change for them. Be who you are, be the best for yourself. So if you think that something that they're suggesting is beneficial for you, of course, then take the changes into consideration and make the changes. But if you don't think that it's beneficial for you or necessary or agree with them, then just be like, all right, well, I hear you out, but I also am my own self. There's some balance of that. I feel like there's everyone can be sort of extreme one way or the other, or try and come off that way, but it's difficult to be that way. Everyone's situation is its own progression of experiences and lessons and with the triggers, sometimes you don't even know that something's a trigger until it is spoken about. So be mindful that if someone's confronting you about something, maybe they're already sensitive about it, but the confrontation maybe can be, the confrontation to begin with is already sensitive. So if it can be avoided or can be fueled first with love, do that before making a mess out of something that your intuition or your body told you, right? If you have bad vibes, reacting to bad vibes is not always going to be the best. Like, kind of what do you expect if you had bad vibes, then you responded to the bad vibes? If you expected that there would be more bad vibes, awesome, that kind of makes sense. If you expected good vibes off of bad vibes, like responding to bad vibes, that's kind of like, how does that make sense? Like, you picked up on bad vibes. Instead of just letting the bad vibes fizzle, you then spotlighted or addressed the bad vibes. And it's like, yes, address it to a degree, but if you were adding more to the bad vibes, I think it would have been more beneficial to let it fizzle out and let good vibes come back in when it is more like another time. Alternative, this card alternative here just makes me always, like, it just makes me think of like there'll be another time and place, like the whole everything has to be perfect now or good vibes now or good vibes always. Of course that's not true. But if you didn't even give it the time and space to have another time and space. You know, really wake up to that and be like, well, there wasn't really a chance for something else or for something to strengthen in the background before returning. You know, maybe the initial response maybe wasn't the best, but the alternative response needs some time to be worked on, or like the alternative situation maybe needed some time to go through what you're going through. You know, like I feel like with these soulmate journeys, whoever you're meant to be with or whoever's going to be involved with you have similar lessons or similar things that they are going through, that you'll be able to come together or like be awakened to each other and like come towards each other to get stronger, strengthen the bond, strengthen the experience that you guys share or will have to share, making progress with one another in a career situation, in romance. You know, I feel like I said, when I feel like you're involved with others, it's usually like you are involved with them because there is a similar situation that you guys can share an experience or in learning with another. You know, it may be like someone is really positive and someone is really negative, and the differing perspectives can really highlight things for the other and they can teach one another something. Or it could be you guys both went through some sort of loss of a loved one in a similar time frame, and you guys can bond and strengthen over that. It could be like so many different things, but your progress and your healing and all of your triggers, all of the signs that your body tells you, it's all important. It's all should be paid attention to, whether or not there was good or bad feedback from your outside surroundings. I just feel as though if someone's going to make you feel bad about something you're sensitive about, they just don't understand your sensitivities, and then that requires less time around people who don't understand you and more time around people who do understand you. Yeah. Altogether, to round out the reading, life will always bend you, but trust me, you are too strong to break. It's going to be okay. You will survive this. It's weird. It's your weirdness that makes you wonderful. And yeah, altogether, just trust that things will be all right, that a lot of things currently are temporary, and that your situation of a few days, a few weeks, a few months, a few years from now, if you journal it out, you'll realize how mundane or small or large or dramatic, or like to what degree your emotions made it more serious or less serious to you. And that life, like your emotions and your life, the precious thing is that you are living, and that your experience and your, whether you deem it a good or bad experience, sometimes has to do with your, like with your emotions, what you're going through. But altogether, you are okay. Every day you are here. Every day you have the chance to do something of it. And that your progress every day is your progress every day like does do something in the bigger scheme of things, even if the daily doesn't make it feel like that. When you sum it up over the week or sum it up over the month, it's just surprising when you put a different perspective on it. It can really change up it. When you change it up, when you see it in different perspectives. What doesn't seem like very much on a daily scale, when you sum it up in a month, you're like, wow, that actually is a lot of work to do, you know, or vice versa. If you do a lot of work in the month and then you scale it differently, you're like, well, I didn't spend a lot of time with my family. You can be really, really upset about that, but then you could be really happy that you did a lot of work. And so wherever you are seeing some sort of imbalance, you can just rewire that or redo that. And it's the weirdness here that makes you wonderful. So like, even if however you tackle it, I feel like just if it doesn't work for one person, it will work for somebody else. Most of all, make sure it works for you, because if it doesn't work for you, you know, life will definitely test you. And if you are not strong enough in your own, you know, situation, your own life, your own energy, you know, like when life tests you, it's easier to break when you're not, you're like when when you don't have your own strength or your own like weirdness to cause you love and wonder and fulfillment. You know, if you don't have that within yourself, the things that life throws at you to test you can really break you if you don't have your own self behind you, or whichever. And so just remind yourself, you know, even if you have to multiple times a day, I can survive this. I love myself. I'm like, I'll be fine. I'll be okay. Like the whole financial stresses, all the stresses, like day-to-day stresses, our human stresses, really, really get to us. So just remind yourself of like the playful things and the things that make you feel weird, that make you feel really like, oh man, like and maybe embarrassed, or like that makes you goofy or smile or all that stuff. Like that's what matters more than paying a bill. I think just having a smile on your face is much more important. And so all in all, I'm going to end with this tarot reading and see what's up. I have the Queen of Wands here depicted. A couple more cards for the collective. Eight of Wands. Sorry, they're stuck together. Eight of Wands and the Nine of Wands and the Ten of Wands. Okay, I feel like they're stuck together, but for a reason. This deck is new, but I did try and shuffle it, and these ones were still kind of stuck together. I think, though, it's the progression of... I think it's just the importance of... Here with the Eight of Wands, Nine of Wands, Ten of Wands, just the progression of how much pressure you can put on yourself when you are pursuing something that is important to you. Your own pressure on yourself will be high, and it will be much more weighted than with anything else. And I just say that as a disclosure or a warning, or at the end of this reading, especially with how I'm reading it together and the back of the deck being Four of Cups. Being careful. It's just putting the image on there, but just making sure it's Captain Hook with when it comes to Four of Cups. Okay, so if you watch the Peter Pan movies and the crocodile with Captain Hook, and how the crocodile with the clock, the ticking, it's just a matter of time here when it comes to being there, when it, like in this energy of things building up with pressure. It's going to be a matter of time when that happens. It does happen. It's inevitable, because you are your hardest you are your hardest critic. You are your toughest person. most often. And so this is the most gentle reminder to lay off and relax in that, and keep trusting that things will be fine between you and whatever situation that you are concerned about, whether it's your career and the pressure is up in your career, or it's in your love life and you really want something to work out. Lay off the stress surrounding it and be more present and choosing what's healthy and choosing what makes you smile and choosing what ultimately keeps you inspired in the weird, goofy, like childlike way. Be open to where you've been in a way that helps somebody understand you or can read you in a new way. You know, sometimes that's the missing piece, is understanding. But all in all, thank you for coming to this video, whether it's Monday or not. I hope to see you in future Mondays. I'm just really thankful to share in each other's existence. Bless you guys all. I appreciate you guys all. And goodbye. I'll see you guys in a future reading. See ya.